What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil Eddie from MyMMAnews.com. Glad to join you guys once again after a really exciting night. Like, DC was even saying in the commentary, and I thought he did a really good job, him, Dominic Cruz, and John Anik. They brought up in the fight, like, it felt like a championship fight, and I totally agree with that. I was at the edge of my seat leading up to this entire card, knowing that Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier both go in there and put on a performance of the year, performance of the night, at least, at the bare minimum. So we all knew that we were in for a treat tonight, and I didn't know what to expect with a lot of the other bouts, but all in all, they ended up really good. There were some sour moments though, like Carlos Condit. I was so excited in that first round, and then come to find out, he gets submitted in the second round. So we're going to be reviewing all of that card right now here on Pure Evil MMA. We're going to be updating. I'm here in the new studio. Well, big shout out. We're doing this in the new studio, new setup that you guys bought because you purchased all Pure Evil MMA merch, which I really appreciate a lot. But yeah, guys, we're going to be updating UFC Pick'em winner ranks. And if you don't know what I'm talking about already, let me just update it in case we have any new listeners out there. Make sure first you subscribe down below here on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic, wherever you're listening or watching this right now. And we have a UFC Pick'em League where it's a bunch of MMA fans, and every time there's a UFC event, we all make our predictions on the official UFC.com website. And you can download that on your Droid, on your iPod, iPad, whatever. You can do it right here on your computer, UFC.com. Well, we have a league set up and are doing giveaways. So anytime somebody wins a fight night, they're going to be getting a Pure Evil MMA bracelet. They should be in here Monday morning. And big shout out to Iceman, the official. Iceman back on top of things. I mean, last year, Iceman was in first place throughout the most of the entire year, at least the second quarter, at least the second half of the year. And I just checked the UFC Pick'em updates, and he won tonight. He's still in the lead overall, so you have a UFC Pick'em bracelet on the way, and I believe you've won 2 or 3 fight nights now. Still have to tally that all up. And once you reach 10, you win a free Pure Evil MMA t-shirt. Look at the shirt I'm wearing tonight. One of the best movies ever. It's fucking Space Jam. Alright, so here's what you guys can expect on today's podcast, or tonight's podcast. It's about 11:13. It's kind of cool that these fights ended really early. An amazing card for a Fox card, especially since it was free. And you had all these weeks. I mean, last week when it came down to fight night, I was in Brooklyn for the weigh-ins, covering the weigh-ins, giving everybody all updates, and even had Rodney James Edgar call in to give his opinions on some of the breaking news that was going down. It was just madness in Brooklyn. Like, it was so hard to wrap my head around everything that was going on. By the time it came to fight night, I think a lot of the media, even the fighters were like mentally drained at that point. And if we're comparing the actual fight cards, if we take away all the drama that happened last week and we're just comparing the fight card, the results, I think tonight was a huge success. If we have to rate tonight's card, we're going to do that at the end of today's show. So while we review this card, I want you guys to keep in mind where this ranks out of from 1 to 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Going into this, I thought this could definitely be an 8 out of 10 card, especially with everybody that was on the card between Michelle Waterson versus Courtney Casey, Carlos Condit returning. There were a lot of questions there that we wanted to see answers. Justin Gaethje again returning, his third fight in the UFC. Was he going to be able to get back on track, or is he going to be another one of these fighters that goes in there and puts on exciting performances, but just can't lock in? We're going to discuss that right now, so let's just jump into that. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. So let's jump into that main event. I mean, we were going into this with a lot of questions. Originally, I thought that Justin Gaethje was going to go in there and wear down Dustin's leg, which we saw in that first round. He went in there and he was just ripping apart Dustin's leg. Everyone knew this. There was no way Dustin didn't have any idea that this was probably going to be in the game plan. Here go the fucking dogs. Here, Oscar, relax. Chill. No. No, stop. Oy. Sorry about that, guys. One thing I ask is keep the dogs quiet. they're never quiet on these live streams, so I gotta apologize about that. But trying to get back into my train of thought. Oscar sitting here watching Phineas, Phineas and Ferb, dude. Just ignore what's going on outside of the bedroom, bro. Just watch Phineas and Ferb. All right, let's jump back into this. So Justin Gaethje's going into this fight. There was no way that Dustin's team didn't know that the game plan was most likely go in there and get the leg kicks. And Dustin, all the time, is great with his jabs, his uppercuts he was working tonight. I think that was going to be a huge effect on Justin. And I thought he was going to use more body shots, but really Dustin was just teeing off. I mean, I saw scorecards all over the place on Twitter. Some people... after the first round, scored it for Dustin. I scored the first round for Dustin. But once we got into the second round, that's when it got really close. And here, I wrote some of the stats down on my stat sheet. I mean, in the second round, Dustin the Diamond had 121 strikes compared to Justin Gaethje's 61s. But in the third round, Justin Gaethje was landing 73% of his leg kicks, and Dustin was hobbling around on that leg. We saw that in the Eddie Alvarez fight. I mean, Justin's always like that in his fights, and I had the pleasure of going to New York City for New Year's Eve 2 years ago to the Madison Square Garden Theater to watch Justin Gaethje perform, and it's just so frustrating when you watch this guy perform because he goes in there with his head down, he eats these huge uppercuts, and you're just literally at the edge of your seat, and you just want him to move, you want him to like react, don't eat all these shots, but it's really part of his game plan. And Chael Sonnen was talking about it. How far can you take that without tweaking it out a little bit? I think that Justin could have done a little better job avoiding some of those shots that were just unnecessary. He did not need to eat them, but that is part of the game plan. Then I don't know how far you can get with that when you're going to be facing some of the elite strikers. I mean, Dustin the Diamond, man, he hits fucking hard. He is one of the best in the division, but he always leads with that lead leg that was getting chewed up. And as time went on, I thought that Justin was going to be able to kick things in like we've seen in the past and get the W. But man, Dustin rocked Justin. It's so confusing. I can't wait for this to end. Let me do it like this. Justin Gaethje got rocked by Dustin the Diamond Poirier in the third round, and his head was just... his body was like one of those dolls where you pull the string and the body tenses up and then you let go and it just crumbles. That's almost what it seemed like with Justin Gaethje when he got rocked. Just couldn't get his feet under him. And big shout out to Dustin Poirier, man, being able to tough it out because he was facing eye pokes. There was a couple of eye pokes. Herb Dean even took a point away from Justin Gaethje in the third round. And at that point I was like, you know what? I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think Justin's going to be able to get the finish. But once we got into the fourth round, it came to a close with Dustin the Diamond Poirier knocking out Justin Gaethje. So now at this point in Justin's career, coming into the UFC, yeah, he's an exciting fighter. That fight with Michael Johnson, he was rocked multiple times, which is what made the fight really exciting. But at the same time, like I just said, how many people can you do that with in the UFC? Michael Johnson, okay, but who also has amazing striking. But when you get to guys like Eddie Alvarez, who goes in there and just chews your body up and just will keep pushing forward and his cheek popping out of his skull. Dustin Diamond Poirier, where we've seen him in these fights where it's like, if this was anyone else, if this wasn't a top athlete, of course this person would most likely quit, end the fight. I mean, getting poked in the eye twice, his leg just not being able to really pick up much power with his shots there. It's got to be frustrating. Especially you're sitting there, you're teeing off on this dude, and he's not going down. He's just eating your shots. It's definitely a frustrating thing. Does Justin Gaethje lose brownie points? Maybe a couple here, but we all know every time this kid shows up to fight, it's going to be one of the best fights of the night, let alone top 5 of the year. Every time he fights, it's always in the top discussion at the end of the year. And same thing with Dustin the Diamond. Go look at his Tapology and go tell me what you see there. Just scroll down. This guy's been in the UFC since 2011. He's got, in my opinion, a better fight IQ. But this was a close fight. This was anyone's game when it's a fight like this. But Dustin the Diamond being able to stretch it out. Now, looking back at it, Gaethje's, man, he just had so many hard kicks in this fight. But it's just so frustrating watching him just put his head down where... he can eat those shots. If you see the guys that he trains with, like Josh Copeland and Cuddly Bear, these big, massive dudes, And you see what they do in their fights. They put their heads down, they move forward, and they go swinging until somebody's a little washed up with cardio. All right, so we got the live chat room going. Mike Hill checking in. Good fights tonight. A big shout out to you, Mike, man. You and your wife winding up on the leaderboard tonight. We're going to be updating this. This was the last update, and we're going to be erasing this and updating it. And you guys actually came up in the tops, and I'm just getting through talking about the main event there. And like I always say, guys, let's rate this card out of 10. Well, what did you guys think of the night's card? Remember, it is free. And I even said, looking at the results from tonight, and if we look at the results from last weekend, I think tonight we had a better performance out of all of the fighters. I think a lot of the fighters last week were just like mentally drained after that ridiculous week. And Mike, really quick, so you're rating it an 8 out of 10. I think it falls somewhere very close to there, definitely. But Ann checking in, Ann Hill checking in. Let me know how my voice sounds. I have sore throat, I have strep throat, I think. Trying to heal up, drinking Monsters doesn't really help, but I've been trying to keep hydrated with Gatorade and whatnot, and had a great fight night with you guys. But here's the thing, my voice is going to be a little raspy, but my last stream, it sounded like I was a robot or something crazy, like monotone. I wasn't into it. I couldn't listen to it. So Ann gives it a 7 out of 10. I think that's fair too. So as we go on, you're saying my audio is good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in. We're going to be reviewing the card. I think you guys are nailing it right here. Between a 7 and an 8. I think. Could it be a 9? Let's discuss that. Let's look a little bit further into this. Because there were moments in this fight where the way I'm going to judge the cards is what is memorable about this fight that's going to stand out at the end of the year. Is this a card that's going to stand out when we get to the deep end of December? Are we going to be able to remember any of these fights? Dustin versus Justin. Hell yeah. We're going to remember that. So that's definitely a good start here. Our co-main event has an emotional toll with it, which is another good sign of rating it a high card, even though it's sad. I will never say, and you guys know this, I will never tell a fighter that they need to retire. I was a little nervous tonight that we might have heard Carlos Condit after this fight retire. I was really nervous about that. Maybe try some tea, you guys are saying. Your voice sounds a little raspy, but yeah, you're sick. Yeah, as long as it doesn't sound like I'm a robot, because I think there was something screwed up, either the microphone or YouTube Live before, and it sounded crazy. It sounded so crazy. It happened before for Bellator when I was going live for you guys to just recap my night. It sounded like some kind of crazy Will Robinson robot lost in space shit. So hopefully we're not sounding like that now, because I'll have to redo this whole show, and that would just fucking suck. And while you guys are here, let me see if I can just detach this, give you guys a quick little peek, some of the good little trinkets that we got in here. So, all right, up top we got, if you can't see it on the podcast, I'm sorry, but here's some of the things that I was able to purchase because you guys bought merch. Up top we got the metal sign that says on air with the microphones. We're able to hang some Benson Henderson, Royce Gracie autograph, UFC 205 up in there. Got the nice backdrop behind me over here. Got the lights up in there. And we're all set. Looking good. Yeah, Mike. I like it. When we got some LED lights, so thank you everybody who bought merch on the last one. Shout out to MMA Pick. He's going to be headlining the next one. He designed the artwork for us. So make sure you guys go find MMA Pick on Twitter and on Instagram. Let me just tweak this out really quick. All right, so let's review Carlos Condit going in there, taking on short notice Charles Oliveira. Taking this fight, I think, on like 2 weeks notice or something like that. Maybe 3 weeks notice. I forgot. But nonetheless, it was on short notice taking this fight against Carlos Condit. And now Cowboy Oliveira, I mean, he usually fights at 155. Here he is at 170. He fit perfectly in there. He looked bigger than Carlos Condit did. And I was a little worried about Carlos Condit going in this fight. We had a lot of questions that needed answers. Like, where is Carlos Condit's head at going into this fight? Which is why I said, if you are somebody that is on DraftKings, if you are somebody that gambles, I would stay away from this fight, because I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. I really couldn't. But Carlos Condit, if it was the same Carlos Condit that showed up against Robbie Lawler, then I think he would have had no issue. But I think that fight did take a toll on him, as well as a lot of other people that fought Robbie Lawler. I think Diz was saying that tonight. I mean, even Robbie Lawler himself. So Carlos Condit on a rough end of things. And it was really upsetting to watch, because I was so happy to tweet out that he won the first round. I mean, did he win the first round? Did you guys think that he won round one? What are you guys saying? So he came in on 2 weeks' notice. You guys love how the studio looks. Thank you. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better from here on out. But, this fight, did you guys score that first round for Carlos Condit? Because I thought a huge factor in this fight was Charles Oliveira's strength. I thought that was going to play a huge role in this. And is saying, yeah, the fake cowboy won. So if you guys don't know, Ann Hill, Chillzone95 on Twitter, she is a huge Cowboy Cerrone fan. And I think when Cowboy Oliveira came on the scene was really for the Cowboy versus Cowboy fight. And after that, I really don't want to call the Brazilian Cowboy Cowboy anymore. I want to just call him Charles Oliveira. But the fake Cowboy won tonight in the second round. I mean, sunk that choke in so deep. Let's go back. What do I got written down here on my notes for this card? Yeah, this had... So the Brazilian Cowboy, he's finished 15 out of his last 18 fights. That's fucking impressive. But taking this fight on short notice, there were just... You don't know how a fighter's going to show up. You didn't know if Carlos Condit was going to show up confident, but, I mean, he had the same old stare looking down at his opponent like he did in the WEC days. But he's just been on a rocky road. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he has 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We do know that he did make a plan B, opening up a coffee shop, hoping that he would name it something like Natural Born Brew or something crazy. But, Jesus, man. Carlos Condit, I think now he's 3-fight losing streak, 2-fight losing streak. I think it's actually a 3-fight. So let's replay this just off the top of my head. He gets the win over Patrick Cote, then gets the loss. Well, some people consider it a win over Robbie Lawler, which is a huge factor when I think about Carlos Condit in these last couple of fights. Like, that fight that he had with Robbie Lawler was brutal, man. And a lot of people did score that fight for Carlos Condit. I scored it for Robbie Lawler, but it was by the split of a hair. So, after that fight, he lost to, I believe, Damian Maia and then Jorge Masvidal. So now he's on a 3-fight losing streak, which isn't good for anybody in the UFC, especially a veteran, because the talk is immediately going to go to, he's washed up, he should retire. And it might not be the case. I mean, you're fighting in the elite of the elite in the UFC. Every fighter is getting better and better. Charles Oliveira is no joke, especially with his submission game. His natural strength, which he showed tonight at 170 pounds. So big things coming for Charles Oliveira. Let's see what I wrote down for this. Carlos Condit, I mean, in the post-fight, like before the fight was going to go down, he kept saying in all of his interviews, he was going to match the pace. I'm going to match the pace with Cowboy. He came out looking a little slow, kind of half-assing his kicks. What are you guys saying in the chat room? So Ann Hill saying, the choke was so sweet that the fake Cowboy did on Condit. I changed my pick from Condit to the fake Cowboy, and thank God I did. So we're going to be looking at the top 10 list. Let's look at that really quick, Ann, because that was a good move on your part. And I think a lot of people were surprised. I got a lot of messages on Twitter of people that were surprised how early these fights started. They started at 3:30 p.m. here on the East Coast. So on the West Coast, you're talking about 1:30 in the afternoon. It's a little early to get in the mood of fighting. I mean, here we are at 11:30. Right now, we'd be getting ready for what? The co-main event, main event. Let me pull up the UFC Pick'em app. All right, so Ann, Jesus, wow, good job, girl. Second place with 2,930 points. Great job. Iceman coming in first. Minion in third. Fourth, The Perpetrator. What a name. Fifth, our boy BLT. Sixth, Sammy E. Shout out to him. Salem1976 on Twitter. Seventh place, Mean Gene. Eighth, Jody. Congratulations, Jody, coming in our top 10. In ninth place, Barry. Represent. Hopefully Barry joined. We can thank some of the studio stuff to Barry, because I believe he bought some merchandise, which I shared on Twitter. I see you. So hopefully Barry's tuning in right now. And congratulations, Barry. You came in 9th place tonight. And in 10th, Maddie B, 1982. 11th, K34, No 16. 12th, Shit Pirate 12. And 13th, your boy, which I made my picks late. I mean, I should just punch myself in the face a couple of times for that, because I go on Twitter going, guys, don't forget to make your picks. Guys, don't forget to make your picks. You can win a free t-shirt. And yet here I am. And I missed the first 3 fights to make my fucking predictions. Go figure. Here, that's deserved, right? I could only say. I mean, here I am promoting the pick'em, but I got 7. I got 9 of my picks, and I got 7 of the 9 correct. So, cha-ching. If you guys did go on DraftKings, hopefully you stayed away from Carlos Condit versus Cowboy Oliveira. Another fight, just too many questions in it. But right in that fight, man, Charles Oliveira moving forward. Big things coming away. A big win for him to beat Carlos Condit. Let's take a look at the chat room again. Oh, wow, second place. Dang, that Iceman cheats. I know, right? Like, if there was a way to cheat, I mean, he's doing it. I mean, if you look at Iceman's score from last year, man, he was in first place, and then he started this year off pretty rough. He was coming in like 20th place, and he was like, oh, I got a new girlfriend, this and that. Here he is, man. So I don't know what changed, but it just cracks me up that he's back in first place somehow, just killing it. Another consecutive fight night. So he's going to be getting a bracelet, and he's well on his way to getting a free tee. The Iceman cheats. That's so funny. Mike H checking in. He did good. Yeah. Carlos Condit, man, I was so happy to say that first round that he won. But I am wondering, maybe I was just being biased there because I wanted him to win. He ended the round pretty awesome. I don't know. So we'll see what you guys have to say on Twitter. Let me know what you thought about that fight on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Also on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. It's so simple. And if you guys are listening to the podcast right now, make sure you jump over to YouTube and follow the video cast where you can see what I look like. You can see what the studio looks like. And if you jump in on the live streams, you can jump in the chat like a couple people are here. So I appreciate that. All right, so moving backwards here. So we went through our main event, our co-main event, which are badass fights, both finishes. But here we are, this fight with Israel Adesanya versus Vettori. Now, going into this fight, immediately you want to root for the guy who has that momentum building. But here's the thing, I get nervous every time this happens because, not saying that this was a step up in competition for him, and saying, yeah, I think Condit won the first round. Yeah, maybe I'm biased, maybe you're biased, but I saw a lot of people going for Condit in the first round, including Bloody Elbow. So, not that that means it's like official, but saying I did see a lot of other media members as well, and elite tweeters like yourself and Mike ranking this fight first round for Carlos Condit. But Israel Adesanya, one thing I was getting nervous, and I get nervous a lot with prospects coming up, like DC was saying, a 29-year-old prospect, or whoever said that. But here's the thing. Every time they match him up with somebody that's maybe a little higher up than their last opponent, and if you look at his last opponent, it wasn't like I'm talking about Israel Adesanya, it's not like he demolished him, but slowly but surely through that fight, he was able to pick him apart with some really nice, sharp shots that broke his body down. He couldn't take the pain, and ended up getting TKO'd. But a very weird, like, slow fashion. It was so. And this performance, Israel Adesanya is saying he's not happy with this one either. So I like hearing that he wasn't impressed with his performance. If he was impressed with his performance, then maybe I'd be a little worried because there's a lot of work that he needs to get done from what I saw here. If he expects facing anyone elite in the top 15 of that division, which I think Dana White is going to be pushing for, because Dana White was there, and I think his attention was definitely for this. He wasn't taking a bathroom break to watch Israel fight. I scored every single round for Israel, but I don't know. I think a lot of these rounds were close. And if you look at the striking stats, 47-43 striking in the second round between the two, it was close. But as we got into the third round, I think Israel Adesanya, the confidence level was just double than what it was in the first, because the first round, Vettori, he did decent and he was hanging in there, but wasn't able to get the takedown until the second round. And then Adesanya, man, he's just so creative in there. A lot of people compare him to John Bones Jones. I don't know why. I think it's just because he kind of looks like John Bones Jones. Mike checking in. You always want to improve. Yeah, it's a huge thing. So I am happy that he said, what do we got here? I want fact action. The MMA holes. Hey, shout out to the MMA holes. Make sure you guys are following them. A lot of people that listen to this podcast go watch that video cast. So, trying to build the YouTube channel here. So it was kind of cool going on the MMA holes YouTube channel, meeting up with him in Brooklyn last week. Guys, we had fun doing that. So check that out on YouTube here at Pure Evil MMA and over at the MMA holes with Jesse B. Hill, who was a little quiet that night. But lovely girl taking the photo of me and Chris outside of the 78th precinct in Brooklyn, New York, right where Conor McGregor was. Let me show that to anybody who hasn't seen that picture, because I want to get that one hung right here in the studio. I mean, it was fun meeting Chris. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to keep recording. We actually got kicked out of Starbucks because it was so late. I was in there recording like the entire day, so big shout out to Starbucks for letting me stay there. And there was a lot of ridiculous people in there. I mean, people drooling all over themselves, nodding out. All right, here's the pic of me, me and Chris. I'm arresting Chris like he's Conor McGregor. Here's the side by side. Let's check this out. Fucking hilarious. You guys can see that better on Instagram. If you're listening to the podcast, I gotta apologize once again here on the live stream. We usually make this convenient for both of you guys, but that one definitely needs to get hung right here behind me. But Israel Adesanya, not too happy with his performance here. Moving forward, I don't think you can give him a top 15 guy yet. And like I was saying, I get nervous because you look at guys like Lando Venata, who was coming up with that spinning wheel kick knockout, and he trains with Cub Swanson. He's going to be the next big thing. And then he gets matched up with the kid from Tough 22. What the hell is his name? The kid that was like, you better bring a change of underwear to Cody No Love. Saying that ridiculous stuff. What the hell's his name? Because he is a great Muay Thai fighter. And he's been on the roll, but I can't. David Timur? Yeah, David Timur. I mean, Lando Venata versus David Timur, I thought it was going to be a tight matchup, and Lando was going to be able to stretch the win. No. And I get nervous about this a lot. Even with Mark Gaethje, another one, with the red mohawk. You know, you had, whatchamacallit, coming in the octagon saying, you deserved a red mohawk. You got the knockout in like 34 seconds or whatever. You beat my time. Dan Hardy, I'm talking about, telling Mark Gaethje that he's the next big thing. And then in his next fight, he chokes. I was a little nervous that this might happen to Israel, but now he's got his toes in the water here in the UFC. You know, he has the kickboxing background. I think it's Sambo background, which is kickboxing with takedowns, I think. Or it might just be kickboxing. I believe he's just coming over from kickboxing, actually. I think I'm talking about somebody else. But, I mean, a win's a win here. A win's a win. And I didn't think he did that bad. I think they put on a great fight, even though it was a split decision, which I was surprised about that. Was anyone else surprised it was a split decision? I mean, the first round was close. Let's see how I scored it. I scored all 3 rounds for Israel, but maybe the first, or I don't know. I don't know how you guys scored this. Let's see what you guys are saying. John Jones, Israel, and Michael Page have same fighting style. Yeah, they kind of look alike, which some people are like, you're racist for that, but Israel and John Jones, they have like the same facial features and just that lankiness, and just the way he operates inside the cage, which it's like he's free drawing. It's like nothing's permanent. He's just like, he's like water, like Bruce Lee would say. He's just in there, and if the opportunity comes to slip an elbow, he'll slip an elbow. If the opportunity comes where he can do a quick spin move, he'll pull that. He doesn't have like that fear. He doesn't have that fear holding him back like you see with like Rashad Evans nowadays, who's been knocked out violently, who's been embarrassed before in the past on big pay-per-view cards. With Israel, I don't think that's the case with him. I think that this is a fresh young guy. Well, he's my age. He's 20. Well, he's older than me. He's 29 years old. And he's got a lot going for him, man. He's pulling the trigger. I love seeing that. He's the way that he moves around, the way he works his feints, his foot movements, it's just beautiful to watch. Even though it went to decision, it was an exciting fight if you know what you're watching. Let's see what we got going on in the chat room once again. Eddie, that pic of you and Chris is great. I know, I love it. I mean, here's the story behind that. We were all about to leave. We were getting kicked out of Starbucks. I was like, you guys can't leave until we walk. Like, it's literally a block away from the Barclays Center. Like, this trip was so convenient. And you guys can watch the entire trip here on the YouTube channel. I live streamed the journey via my Instagram story, so you can watch like 10-second video by 10-second video, and the entire way up there, like I was on the train, I find out that Max Holloway gets injured, pulled off the card. I mean, it was just a roller coaster of emotions the entire day. It was one of my more favorite trips to cover fights, which is how much was going on. It was definitely the best pre-fight day in MMA history. You can't say it was the best event. You can say the most dramatic, one of the most dramatic, top 3 most dramatic cards. I was right there for it, so it was only right to get a picture with Chris from the MMA Holes after all these years. Shout out to you guys, though. Really, it goes back to Minion McGrunion, going on almost 3 years ago now, introducing me and Chris. right here on YouTube. I was doing more of the podcast, but Chris got a good thing going on here on YouTube. As I scroll up and see, he's already being compared to Venom. Oh, Belvin Flipmunk checking in. Yeah, so guys, yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. Michael Venom Page, John Jones Bones, and Israel Adesanya, they really are like one and the same. They really are. Like, they could have came from the same nutsack. Who knows? They might have 3 different mamas, but the dad might be the same. And I don't mean to be like fucking ridiculous by saying that, but really, all 3 of these guys' fighting styles, I know they get mad about it if you compare the two, but they look very similar. And the other thing about all of it, even though Michael Venom Page is over at Bellator, I think that if he did come over to UFC, you see a lot of people doubting him, but if he did it the right way, like they're doing with Israel, and not just throw these guys to the wolves, you can build a great star. And I think Bellator is kind of holding out on that. And I don't think Michael Venom Page is going to be going anywhere. John Jones Bones, on the other hand, he's just an issue altogether. What are you guys saying in the chat room? What's up, people? Just hanging out. Belvin, just hanging out. Laugh out loud. What are you guys saying? The Pokemon guy. Yeah, Michael Venom Page. Never forget that night. That was one of his best knockouts. I was happy that they matched him up against Cyborg as well, because it was a step up in the right direction. Even though Cyborg, a lot of people say, was on the down side of his career. And now, unfortunately, he has to retire after that fight. But I don't know. Are you guys excited to see Israel Adesanya's next fight? Because I am. I mean, he might not be excited in his performance, but at the end of the day, he got the win. He went in there. He looked awesome. He put on a show. So nothing to be ashamed about. He wants to make Cunt great again for some reason. I mean, he tweeted that out in his last fight. And what about his post-fight speech as well? I mean, last time around, he was on my boys over at Submission Radio on their podcast, and he was saying, I'm going to piss all over the octagon. And then in the octagon, he gives that same speech, which was like, all right, you already said that once this week. Be a little more creative, but he plugged it. A lot of people didn't hear it on Submission Radio, so I was a little interested to see what he's going to say tonight. And he was like, I'm going to shit in the octagon, or some weird ass something that was just like, all right, you said something a little weird, but whatever, man. You got the win. I'm excited to see what they're going to match him up with next. Should he be able to take on a top 15 opponent? Let me know here in the chat room. Let me know on Twitter and Instagram at Pure Evil MMA on Instagram, and at Evil_Echo on Twitter. All right, Belvin Flipmunk saying Israel has better boxing than early John Jones. He's closed the gap training for Glover in DC, though. Here's another thing. Israel's a little older as well. Israel's not 21 years old. Israel's 29 years old. And you're right. DC was saying tonight that he brought John Jones in. I mean, he brought Israel in as a training partner for the John Jones fight. So, like, can you be mad that people are comparing you to John Jones? I mean, before you were in the UFC, you had people scouting you out, being like, similar style to John Jones. He might be good for DC in training camp. Like, you can't be mad at anybody for saying that. So I don't feel bad saying that at all. Very similar styles between the 3, though. I think you're going to see that a lot. But out of the 3 guys, John Bones Jones, he's going to be the most successful out of 3. How far can Israel Adesanya really go here? I mean, I'm not trying to throw doubt his way, but just what John Jones has accomplished, the storyline he's built, and where he is now, between the good and the bad, you can't make a bigger name than that, I don't think, right now. Here's the question, is Israel that next guy? Did Dana White see that tonight? Or was he when he was cage-side? Probably not. Who knows what Dana White's going to say? He was probably hoping they was going to get a knockout. But you got to remember, Israel is not a power puncher. Israel is a guy who's going to accumulate shots, break his opponents down in confidence and with pain, with those sharp shots to deliver, the body shots, the starting off low and working up high as the fight goes on. I mean, it's a pleasure to watch him fight. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him next. Maybe they will give him a top 15 opponent. But should you be rushing him? That's the scary part. Because once you get a loss, it's very hard to climb that hill again. You have this guy climbing up the hill already right now, making his way up there. If Conor McGregor, when he was running up the same hill, if he had a loss in there, man, if that Nate Diaz fight came a little soon in his 3rd fight, would not be the same timeline that Conor McGregor has had the pleasure of enjoying. So, I mean, Conor McGregor went the distance with Max Holloway. There's no shame in there. And Conor was even saying in that fight he wasn't too impressed with his performance. You heard the same thing with Israel tonight. So with that being said, let's move on. Let me know what you thought about that on Instagram and Twitter. Let's check in with the chat room. All right, and check it in. Yeah, I think Paige can do good if he gets into the UFC. I would be interested in seeing that. I just don't see Bellator releasing him. I think Bellator will dish out a little extra cash for him, considering the cash they allegedly gave Dylan Dennis when he has no MMA fights. And for Dylan Dennis to go out there and say, "Oh, I'm the highest paid fighter in Bellator," I want to see him get his ass kicked. And he has an upcoming fight, man. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. But I would like to see him come over, both those guys. But I think it's a good place for them to be over at Bellator. I like Israel Adesanya, 29 years old. What he's got in the pot right now, dipping the toes in the water. He's a fresh face in the UFC. It's not like he came over from Bellator. If you're a diehard fan, you know who this guy has been. And a lot of people say it's kind of weird because you would think Bellator would pick up a guy like this. But we're lucky. We got Israel here with a win tonight. So let's move forward with that being said. You know, Vittori, though, man, no love lost there. I mean, I wanted my Italian roots to win. He got a takedown. He did pretty well. He was walking Israel down the entire fight, so not bad, matey. Not bad. Nothing to be ashamed about. All right, Karate Hottie versus Courtney Casey. Here's a fight. Here's a fight where it was like, you need to stay away from this again if you're on DraftKings. If you're on UFC Pick'em, maybe use this as a decision to play it safe because I didn't know what to expect here. Right off the bat, I said this in the prediction show. The Karate Hottie, I love her. I really do. But at this weight division, I get a little nervous for her. You look at some of these girls and they just look so much bigger. You think they have more power than her. But Jesus, Karate Hottie tonight, literally showing some strength in that little body, pressuring Courtney Casey, pushing her up against the fence, getting the takedown. But there were a couple of moments in that fight, I was at the edge of my seat. Courtney Casey attempting these submission moves, and she didn't get any of them, but did they come close? And like, I thought Michelle Waterson's arm was broken at least twice in that fight. Let's see what I got written down here. The first round I gave to Courtney Casey. I gave the first round to Courtney Casey, but that's what I expected. I expected as the fight picked up, Courtney Casey, if you look back in her last fight with Felice Herrig, she was very limited to her movements. It was 3 steps forward, jab, jab, move out. Felice Herrig, the same thing. Move forward, jab, jab, move out, but with an exit kick. And that was the difference in that fight. As the fight goes on, you see Courtney Casey get more and more limited, a little more tired, but the momentum building up with Courtney Casey. You had all those people there to see her. She was vibing, man. There was a good vibe going on early on in that fight to the last second in that fight where it could have been Casey's fight. Checking in the chat room, Mike H saying the Karate Hottie did a great job, and Hill saying she did really good. I was impressed. She was due for a win, and that was the thing here. Both girls really needed a win. Courtney Casey, I thought she was going to be the bigger girl here. Lo and behold, Karate Hottie adapting to the situation, which she said a beautiful in her post-fight speech, something along the lines of, when you're in there, it's like art. You gotta make adjustments as the fight goes on, and that's championship mentality right there. There were so many times in that fight where she could have given up. She could have just tapped. I mean, the chokes, the arm bars, they were all very deep, and she could have quit. She toughed it out, and she said it in her post-fight speech. I almost wanted to shed a tear. There were a couple moments tonight where it was just like, you were so emotionally invested in these people we've been watching for years and years. I even said it. Like, the first time I saw Karate Hottie was on Bully Beatdown on MTV when I was like a sophomore in high school. I remember printing out photos of her and hanging them on my bedroom wall and not really knowing much about MMA until Bully Beatdown coming around and The Ultimate Fighter, kind of all in the same time period, one after the other. Kind of transitioned myself into the MMA world. Karate Hottie behind all that. So emotionally invested in that fight. It was great to see her get the win. When I talked to Karate Hottie, when I interviewed Karate Hottie, she was talking about being the lead role in a Disney movie like Mulan and the Female Warrior. That would be the perfect movie for her to play the head role of Mulan. She is Mulan. She really is Mulan. She really is. And I think she would play a good role there. But here's the thing. Disney's not going to call anyone that's losing fights. So this was a big win for her tonight. The win. In this weight division, though, I mean, at 115 pounds, she's a natural atom weight. So as this escalates, as she's going to be climbing this ladder, how far can she really climb until she really is out muscled, out powered? But big win for her tonight. Let me give a quick checkup on the Fight of the Night bonuses. I believe Fight of the Night bonuses went to, let's take a look really quick. I believe they went to Justin Gaethje. Obviously, that was a given. But Cast Iron, man, she came out. She wanted that. She was thirsty for that win. All right, Performance of the Night bonuses. Justin Gaethje versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. They get 50K. Alex Oliveira getting 50K for beating Carlos Condit. And Adam Wizarek getting 50K for his win. Jesus. I'm a little surprised about that. Third one, though. Honestly. I really am. Salikov had a great knockout tonight. I think. Oh, no. Who am I to say, right? Who the fuck am I to say that? But look at this choke. All right, let's check this card out. 1 second, guys. Let me find the card. So, all right, so Michelle Waterson, let's continue there. And then we'll get into the Tim Boetsch fight, which played out the way I thought it would. Eddie, turn your mic up louder, audio low, I think. All right, we're turning the mic up a little bit. How's that? All right, so Karate Hottie, big win for her. I always get nervous because her daughter is always cage side, and I get nervous about that. You don't want to see your parents get their ass beat. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, if my parent was an MMA fighter, I'd probably have a cocky attitude in school. So luckily I didn't, even though my dad's like a biker. But big shout out to Michelle Waterson. She really did need this win. Good Fight of the Night bonuses, except the last one. Yeah, I agree. I did not see that one coming. All right, let's see. The movement of Karate Hottie. That was one thing that definitely stood out here. It was just crazy how she was able to manhandle Courtney Casey. I think that was the most shocking part of it all. It was nice seeing her go in there, but she did get rocked. Courtney Casey got some power, man. And she rocked the Karate Hottie a couple times. I think the coaches were a little worried that Courtney Casey was going to waste a little bit too much time on the submissions, which does seem that way. I believe, let's see how I scored this. All right, so I scored the first round for Courtney Casey, the second round for Karate Hottie, and the third round for Karate Hottie. But it was close because the way that third round ended, man, Karate Hottie was literally saved by the bell. Literally saved by the bell. Her arm was about to snap. I don't know how she escaped. Like, her and Paige Van Zandt are some of the most flexible people in that division. Chicken in the chat room. Ann says, that better. Audio good now. Mike saying, I want 50K. I want 50K too, which is why I'm saying, who am I to say that, he doesn't deserve 50K for all the hard work he put in. And a fight card like this, man, everyone was battling for a Fight of the Night bonus. But let's look at this main card. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to fly through the rest of this. But just that main card, for it to be free, that's a pay-per-view lineup right there. That really was a pay-per-view lineup. You had Michelle Waterson. Let's take a look at some of these pictures. I mean, between Michelle Waterson, Cowboy Oliveira beating Carlos Condit. I mean, you had some big names in there. And once again, guys, the younger guys, well, for the most case, Dustin Diamond with being the exception, getting the win tonight. But, man, emotionally, feel bad for Carlos Condit tonight. I really do. And I really wouldn't be surprised if we hear an announcement coming up. I mean, do you guys think that he's going to take another fight? It's just so hard. It really is. I'm so happy for Dustin the Diamond Poirier to get that win, though. But Justin Gaethje's, on the other hand, no brownie point loss there. If we had to rate that main card out of 10, I'm giving it a 9. I think it had all of the right ingredients for a fight night. If we had to pick out the last couple of months to show like a friend that's new to MMA, I would pick tonight's fight card because there's so much of stories behind all of these fighters, what they have to offer, what their strengths are, where they're heading, the win streaks, being with their backs up against the wall, really needing a win like Michelle Waterson. It had all of that. So 9 out of 10 for that main card. As we look to the prelims, like I said, I'm going to fly through this, but Antonio's Carlos Silva getting the win over Tim Boetsch as expected. I mean, Tim Boetsch, hot and cold, hot and cold. Another one where like your heart says I want Tim to win, but it's a tough one, man. It's he might be Bellator bound at this point. I really don't know. I think he's on a 2-fight losing streak. Somebody correct me there. I haven't looked too far into that. Before that, Rainey versus Solikov. You got Solikov getting the TKO in the second round. Beautiful TKO as well. The spins were there for Solikov. The low spin kicks. I mean, he had all the things that we wanted him to bring to the to this fight, to the UFC. And he's finished 13 out of his last 14 opponents, which is hats off to Solikov. Is he ready for a top 15 opponent? That's another question. I mean, a lot of the guys here, I think, are ready for that next big jump. But just be careful here with a lot of these guys. Wilson Hayes versus Moraga. This is a fight where I scored for Wilson Hayes. Or no, I didn't score it for Wilson Hayes. I picked Wilson Hayes, but Moraga, I scored it for the first round. I gave to Hayes, second for Moraga, third for Moraga. But Wilson Hayes, explosive as always. Working the kicks, but he got rocked a couple of times. What the fuck was that? Whew. All in all, though, the prelims are pretty exciting with a lot of guys that are trying to make their way into, you know, that top 15 spot. So let's look back now that we recap most of this fight card. Big shout out to, let me just finish this off really quick for you guys. Brad Tavares gets the win as well. Big shout out to Brad, trying to get him on the podcast. He had some words backstage with Michael Bisping, so let's take a listen to that really quick. This is what happened backstage directly after that fight went down.
Leave Michael alone, man. Hey. Congratulations. Hey, come on, Brett. Come on, dude. Come on now. Come on, let's do it. Hey, buddy. Come on. Hey, come on.
So you can't see the video. It's on my Instagram page at Pure Evil MMA. Brad Tavares, after the fight, goes backstage, starts calling out Michael Bisping. So you got to love stuff like that. And do it. Like, you got to plant seeds, man. I mean, you got to get people to start talking about things, start retweeting things, sharing things, have people talking about it on their podcasts and tell them to go check it out. I mean, it's important. This day and age, it's important to build that storyline, build that excitement up. And tonight had a lot of that. So it really was a good night. You know, at the beginning of this, I think one of you guys said 7 out of 10. One of you guys said 8 out of 10. This is an 8 out of 10 card. It could even be a 9 out of 10 if there were more finishes. But emotionally, I was invested in this entire card. I'm giving tonight a 9 out of 10 for a free card. It's definitely a 9 out of 10. No doubt about it. It is getting hot up in this studio with all these lights on me. All right, so before we wrap up tonight's show, let's update the rankings. So like I said, Iceman in first place. Let's jump on this shit real quick. So overall, we're going to be updating this. So I'm going to update this now and take a picture, and I'll post it on Twitter for everybody and also on Instagram so everybody knows. And I'll be hanging this up in studio. So every episode, we're going to be updating this throughout the year. And you guys are going to be racing to get your free Pure Evil MMA tee and bracelets. All right, so overall, in first place, Iceman. In second place, Shit Pirate. Third, BLT. Fourth, Minion McGrunion. Fifth, True Q Metal. In sixth, Andrews MMA. Seventh, Chillzone. Eighth, Salem 1976. Ninth, The Perpetrator. 10th, Pat. That's our top 10 guys. So if your name was announced, congratulations. Either you're climbing up the top 10 or you just broke the top 10. If you didn't hear your name, unfortunately, like me, I didn't hear my name in that top 10 list. Hopefully, better luck next week, guys. Every week, you have a chance to win this. Win 10 fight nights, and you get a free Pure Evil MMA t-shirt. Make sure you follow me throughout the week on Twitter. We're always talking MMA opinions. I appreciate everybody that has engaged with me this week. We got a new podcast coming out this week. Special guest, Matt Bassett from the UFC with an upcoming fight. Who else we got on the show this week? I just interviewed Eddie Abasolo. So next Saturday night, you can find me at Lion Fight 42 at Foxwoods Casino. If you're here on the East Coast, want to check in, say hi. I'm actually going to be filming this because I'm not going to be credentialed. Well, I am credentialed, but I'm actually got hired via staff. So I'm going to be wearing my staff press pass and filming with CombatSportsNation.com, where you guys can watch the entire fight night from combatsportsnation.com. I'll post that link on my Twitter. I'll be filming, commentating, because there's no more Access TV deal. Pat Miletich is gone, so I'm going to be sitting in his seat. So this is going to be a really fun experience. I would love if you guys join me for that live chat. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be broadcasting right here for you guys. So this next week, man, it's going to be a lot of work. I love getting paid for what I do. It's a blessing to be able to watch these fights like I used to when I was a kid, and now I get paid for it. So, just everything. Like, everything about tonight was just everything I love about life. Like, it's at the edge of my seat. I couldn't wait for the next fight. You feel bad for the fighters that lost. You can't wait for the next fight. You want to know what's going to go on 3 weeks from now with these guys. I mean, that's what life's all about, is living life, loving life, and being at the edge of your seat with a smile on your face and energy from your surroundings, filling yourself with healthy habits. Healthy habits, man. You know what? Something crazy tonight. I don't want to say this too loud because of my roommates that are here, but one of my roommates that doesn't watch MMA sat and watched one of the fights with me tonight, and they were like, "So are these real?" What? What? Really? Show me how you see it not being. I just want to put my head down. I felt embarrassed, honestly. It's like people still like my mom. She'll be like, "Oh, how's your WWF thing going?" This day and age too. Really. But all in all, guys, I give tonight a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys for all participating at Pure Evil MMA on Twitter and on Instagram. Let's check in really quick. If you guys have any questions in the chat room, definitely shoot now. Let's see what we got here. All right. Yep, I was surprised it wasn't a pay-per-view fight card and 6 fight on Fight Pass. Yeah, that's another thing. 6 fights on Fight Pass. I enjoyed that, but the one thing I didn't enjoy about that is how early it was. At 3:30 in the afternoon it started. Like I was in bed sick all day. Like I have a strep throat, I think. Hopefully not. But I was in bed and I was like, well, wait, the fight's already started. I was late on my picks for Pick'em. It was fucked. It was completely fucked. And if you're on the West Coast, like some of our listeners, like Pat, some of our MMA friends, that's 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a 1:30 in the afternoon. Fights are starting. How do you get yourself geared up for a fight at 1:30 in the afternoon unless you're watching Jerry Springer? It's hard. It's hard to get in the zone, especially after the exhausting week we had last week. I'm interested to see what the numbers are tonight. Hopefully they were good because it was on Fox. It was free. There was huge names on it. I didn't see much promotion. Another thing. Tough 27 starts in 4 days from now. So Thursday nights? Is it? No, Wednesday nights. I believe Wednesday nights. Yeah, Wednesday nights. Ultimate Fighter season 27 going down. Every fighter on the season's undefeated. We got DC versus Stipe Miocic. We got our boy Jojo Giannotti up in this season. So looking forward to that. You forgot last question about 5 to 10 minutes ago. What was the last question? Well, let's see what the last question was. Yep, I was surprised. It was a pay-per-view fight card. 6 fights on Fight Pass. All right, if that's the question. Yeah, I enjoyed this fight on Fight Pass. 6 fights. I think that's something if they want to market Fight Pass more for more people to subscribe. You can't just have 3 fights on there. You can't just have the 24/7 thing on Fight Pass. I'm obsessed with. I can keep that playing all day long just to refresh myself on older fights and fun season of Ultimate Fighter, upcoming fighters that are on the upcoming fights. They replay some of their old fights. If you want to sell Fight Pass, you need to have that 6 fight card, but don't do it so early in the day, 3:30. But at the same time, I also heard rumors that the UFC is going to be making some TV deals, splitting up between like CBS and like ESPN or something crazy like that, or Fox, something crazy like that. I forgot the exact details, and I'm sorry about that. But if they do that, there are rumors that there are only going to be 6 pay-per-views a year, which means you're only going to pay-per-view once every 2 months. Is this something that you guys are open to? Because if it's going to look like this, where we're going to get more free cards with bigger stars on it, I think that could be better for our sport, because if you think about it, a lot of the people who are casual fans, why would they want to buy a pay-per-view? You're going to have to really pique their interest for them to dish out $65 or on a sport they don't usually watch. If you build their interest up with these big fight cards that are free on, Channel 6 or FS1 or whatever, you're going to build a bigger audience. A lot more people get invested in a lot of these fighters. And I think they did a great job representing a lot of the fighter stories tonight. Carlos Condit highlights. If you saw Carlos Condit's highlights tonight, you would think he's going to go in there and smoke Charles Oliveira coming in this fight on short notice at 170 pounds when he fights at 150, even though he misses weight all the time at 150. All right, so it was Law's question, Mike H. saying. It was Law's question. Last question was they should have a division weight from 105 to 165. The last question, they should have a division weight. All right. I'm thinking you're talking about Michelle Waterson in that question, because she's originally an atom weight. I would like to see her at atom weight at 105 pounds. Is UFC going to open that division? I'm kind of shocked that they opened a 145-pound division before opening up. I don't know about this, but I'd feel safer if Michelle Waterson was at atom weight, which Invicta has. I mean, you can just bring up all the atom weight Invicta girls if you really wanted to. It might not be the best fights, but Jesus, Michelle Waterson, how far can she go as a natural atom weight? The girls are just going to get stronger and harder to beat. As if they were going to have 105 and a 165-pound division. I don't know. Those are the rumors going around. I mean, Artem kind of hinted towards it. Conor versus GSP. I don't know. I heard rumors that Conor was going to fight RDA, and then they booked it with Kobe. Conor really fucked up last week. I would love to see Conor versus GSP. That could be a step in the right direction. I want everyone to take Mayweather's name out their mouth. I don't want to see Mayweather Conor. I think Conor versus GSP, that would be a fun fight. And if you know Conor, he always wants to one-up himself. He always wants to do the next big thing. That's GSP. And GSP letting the title go kind of makes me think GSP might be on that same page as well. Because let's not forget, if we rewind a couple of weeks, even maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago now, John Kavanaugh took a trip over to GSP's gym. I bet you guys forgot about that, because I certainly did. So there was possible talks about GSP versus Conor McGregor. I would love to see it go in that direction. And checking in, we need more women fighters in the 145-pound division. I 100% agree. And this week it was announced that Megan Anderson is going to be fighting Holly Holm for that number one contender fight, which is awesome, because every time they fight at 145-pound division, it's always a title fight. They're throwing people in there. You can't build a division that way. You can't just throw girls to Cyborg and then say you didn't win, so we're just gonna number you from 1 to 15 as you lose to Cyborg. No, you got to build this division more. Megan Anderson coming over, perfect warm-up fight for her. If she can't beat Chris Cyborg, if she can't beat Holly Holm, there's no way she's gonna beat Chris Cyborg, especially after what we just saw Chris Cyborg do to Holly Holm. But if Holly Holm beats Megan Anderson, I don't know how interested I am to see that fight, that rematch again. I feel like Holly Holm has had a couple of chances, and just, I don't know what's going on with her. But a win over Megan Anderson, is it going to be what she needs? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be what she needs to get another title shot. I think it's a path leading to nowhere, but you're going to get a lot of interest in this fight. I am so interested to see Megan Anderson go in there. I think Holly Holm wins this fight, though. I think Holly Holm takes it, but hopefully Megan Anderson could go in there, and that's the whole point of matching this fight up, is if Megan Anderson goes in there and squashes Holly Holm, hopefully it doesn't go to decision, because Holly Holm fights usually do go to decision. Megan Anderson fights in the UFC, first time, probably going to go to decision. Let's hope not. But if she goes in there and puts on some crazy performance over Holly Holm, you're going to get a lot of people pumped up for her to fight Cyborg. Because with the way it is right now, her coming up from Invicta to the UFC, which is what they keep doing and doing, there's no interest there anymore. There really isn't. She's squashing people like Leslie Smith, who's in the UFC, squashing people like Holly Holm. What makes me think that a girl from an Invicta is going to come up and show her something that she hasn't seen? I don't see it. So I think this is a perfect fight for Megan Anderson and Holly Holm. Or not really Holly Holm, but more so for Megan Anderson. The chips are really stacked in her corner here. Conor's a disgrace to the UFC, Mike H saying. Let's talk about this for a second. Here we go. All right. So Conor McGregor being a disgrace to the division. I found out some useful information. Well, not useful. I found out some information this week that I wasn't used to hearing. Somebody very high up in the MMA media scene told me that he went over to Ireland to cover fights for Conor McGregor. And the Irish actually aren't fans of Conor McGregor whatsoever. They actually can't stand Conor McGregor. They don't like the way that he acts and represents the Irish. But at the same time, he's the polling guy in UFC that's making a name for the Irish and, you know, gaining respect. But when you're going around doing stuff like this, it doesn't look good. But the Irish heritage, you're backing your boys up. You're backing your boys up. You got Khabib messing with Artem backstage. Khabib, you really didn't think that was going to piss Conor off? Conor's going in and smacking up Irish mafia members. You don't think he's going to come smack you up? So, with that being said, it's upsetting that Conor McGregor is acting this way. Look at Artem's last fight that he had in the octagon. Mark Goddard having to stop the fight in the middle of all the action because Conor McGregor's walking around the octagon hammered, yelling fight instructions. It doesn't look good. You have Conor over at Bellator jumping inside the cage, pushing Mark Goddard around, starting fights, jumping in his face, hitting cameramen. It doesn't look good, and it hasn't looked good. And I'm a McGregor fan. Like, I've been following McGregor this entire time through it all, and I was loving like his smart talk and stuff like that. I don't love the physical stuff. And if we replay the evolution of Conor McGregor's throwing game, it starts back with throwing a Monster Energy drink. Then it goes to picking up a chair at the Media Day face-offs, and you had T. Wood filming it all, saying he ain't gonna do shit. World star, and then he picks up another object somewhere else, and now you have him picking up freaking dollies and they're smashing bus windows. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. However, here's another thing that you have to keep in mind. That morning after, I had my mother's roommate call me. I had my grandmother call me. I had people message me nonstop on Twitter. I got 100 new followers on Instagram. My profile was checked over 3,000 times on Instagram that day, or that week altogether. It did good for our sport. It was everywhere. Everyone wanted to know about it. People were going straight to the sources of their inner circle. I had all my friends messaging me wondering what was going on. They knew I was heading up to Manhattan. It was a lot of fun, but at the same time, the fighters who were injured, the people who were affected by this, like imagine being on a bus, going on with your day, and someone smashes the window. Like, your instincts are going to kick in. Your survival instincts are going to kick in. You're going to get a little scared, which is why I was a little surprised Rose Namajunas kept this fight going, because with where she was, with all the pressure on her, and after being on the bus, and it's just not good. You have fighters losing money. It's just not cool. It really isn't. Artem losing his fight because his friend takes his back. It's bullshit. I agree with you, Mike. It's a disgrace. But I'm still excited to see his next fight. I'll tell you that. I will not miss Conor McGregor's next fight because of this incident. Don't mistake me saying that. Cyborg is a machine. Belvin Flipmunk. That was an act of terrorism. Lifetime ban from U.S. entry. So people are looking at this at all different angles, and that's my job here, looking at it from all different angles. I mean, if you're looking at an act of terrorism, it means that you're looking at it like it was premeditated. He was coming over from Ireland to cause a fight with Khabib and cause this mess. I really don't think Conor McGregor knew that window was going to bust. I'm surprised that window even busted. Here's the other thing. I do believe Conor McGregor was most likely going to be in New York, in Manhattan, for this pay-per-view card, because one, you had it originally being Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. These guys are fighting it out to see who's most likely, maybe not most likely, fighting Conor McGregor next for that lightweight title, whatever that lightweight title is, or who really is the lightweight champ. But I think Conor McGregor was coming over originally already. I mean, I think Dana White was probably going to fly him out either way. You had Artem on the card. Conor McGregor's always there to back him up. I don't think Coach Kavanaugh was there, though. I think Coach Kavanaugh was over at Bellator. So, Artem needs his boys there. You have people picking on Artem. You don't put Artem in a corner. You do not put Artem in the corner. Nuh-uh. But yeah, man, a lot of people are upset with Conor McGregor. As much as I'm enjoying, talking about it and seeing, the views go up and people following and whatever, it's uncalled for, and it can't be. You can't escalate this anymore. That has to be the peak. I mean, he has to go back to court on my birthday. As a matter of fact, June 14th is his next court hearing. Is this going to affect his next fight? Maybe not, even though there were rumors that he was going to fight RDA and that got pulled because of this incident. But all in all, man, you had Scott Coker being like, Conor, you can come to Bellator if you want, which won't happen. But a lot of people are really upset with Conor McGregor. Let's check back in. Ann Hill responding to Belvin, I believe. But Conor will fight again because he is a big money draw for UFC. Exactly. And at the end of the day, you have Dana White going, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But really, he's still going to lock himself in his freaking penthouse and count money all day after people are buying that pay-per-view. And matter of fact, how did that pay-per-view do? Because I think more people were more concerned about the drama than they were about the actual outcome of any of the fights. I am happy that Rose Namajunas did win, though. Really happy that Rose won that fight. Conor will beat the charges against him. UFC will pay, and so will Conor. And if you look at Volkan Oezdemir, who recently had charges against him, a UFC fighter with violent charges, standing up to somebody. He had a fight immediately right after that against DC. Didn't hold him back. Did it affect him mentally? I don't know. But Conor McGregor, I doubt he even fucking cares. I mean, he did tweet this week. He was like, something along the lines like, I'm thinking about it now. Like, now that I'm sitting on the idea. But does he really apologize for it? I mean, Belvin was even tweeting out this week. He was saying that Conor McGregor has people going after Ali Abdelaziz. And if you are into all the headlines and stuff like that, and like to get into these kind of dramatic discussions, definitely go follow Belvin Flipmonk on Twitter. I enjoy all of his content. I would never mute him. People are always freaking out, but it's getting a lot of attention. It's stuff that people do enjoy talking about. There is a scene for it, so if you guys do enjoy the dramatic side of things, and talking about racism and stuff like that, Belvin Flipmonk is where it's at right now. On Twitter at Belvin Flipmonk. That's BELVIN FLIPMUNK. That's right. Belvin saying UFC was in on staging of the bus scene, but Conor escalated it to psycho level. UFC rep Vicky Coughlin led him to the bus on the elevator after Andrew McGowan of Mac Life let them in the building, which a lot of people have been speculating. People have been speculating this all week, really. Conor McGregor being let in the building, but it's fucking Conor McGregor. If I saw Conor McGregor, I mean, all the rest of the fighters are there. You would guess that Conor McGregor got called in. I wouldn't know that there's issues that Artem got picked on. You see Conor McGregor, you open the door. There was a list of people that were not allowed in the building afterwards, which I thought was pretty funny. A list of media and stuff like that. But to say it was staged, I don't think it was staged. I think Conor went there knowing that he was going to do something. And if you look back at the video, he picks up a smaller object, puts it down, and then grabs the dolly, which was stupid. Shouldn't have done that. But I don't think it was staged at all. I mean, you have fighters that are literally losing money. Kids aren't going to be able to eat. I mean, that sounds dramatic, but there's fighters that have to work 2 jobs still in the UFC. They're not like the MLB players. They're not like the NFL players. They're not like fucking these golfers. These guys are legit struggling week to week, year to year, trying to make as much money as they can. And when you're training week to week to week to week, spending all this money on fight camps and getting ready for your fight, and cryotherapy and all the shit that goes along with it, to get pulled off a card because of Conor McGregor's action is just fucking bullshit. I have to agree with Mike here, and I do agree with you too, Belvin, on some cases where it's bullshit. And maybe you should look at it like an act of terrorism. But at the same time, it's a sport. It's promoting the sport. But when I was seeing people like ex-WEC owner tweeting out like I was in fear of my life. Maybe he actually was. I was joking about it with Rodney, but maybe he was. Like, put yourself in that bus. Close your eyes, put yourself in that bus, and you're about to go home after a long media day, and then you're fucking Conor McGregor like a psycho running out, and then the window just shatters. People are screaming and yelling, and it was just a madhouse, a stressful situation. And shit, if you're gonna go in there and throw dolly through the window, you had fighters that got cut up like Michael Chize, and I always butcher his name, and the only reason I keep pronouncing his name like that is because I've been doing it since day one. But Mike, man, I wanted to see that fight so bad. Paul Felder getting pulled off that card, that was a huge kick to the balls. I mean, the real fight was Al Iaquinta versus Paul Felder. This is a slap in the face to Al Iaquinta, really, now that he has the loss, because it's taken away some of that momentum that was building up. All right, chat room is going crazy. It's actually mandatory. Belvin Flipmonk saying it's actually mandatory to ban him if he either pleads guilty to any crime or is convicted of a felony. So I guess he's changed his lawyer, matter of fact, and saying, Belvin, that will never happen. Money talks. Mike H. I would rather watch West Side Story than watch him fight again, but that's just me. So I'm guessing you're saying Conor McGregor, which really I find that so hard to believe. I really do, because I don't know how many fighters out there, you can count them on your 10 fingers, that is like a must watch. Conor McGregor is in that first group of 5 on my list. I mean, this was more talked about than the fights themselves. So really, it's a win for Conor, but you can throw shade at me for saying that as well, because it's disgusting what he did. You guys are right, 100% right. I wouldn't fucking do that. It takes balls to do that. But man, he stood up for his friend, and I wish I had a friend that would stand up for me like Conor McGregor stood up for Artem Lobov, and I'll leave it at that. It's funny, Manny McGrunion brought that to my attention with all this drama going on. CM Punk's fight got buried under all this drama, just like Tito Ortiz just burying it. And not that you should be too excited about CM Punk fighting or anything, but it's just funny because everyone was wondering, who's CM Punk going to fight? He's going to fight Michael Jackson. Here it is, they announced the fight, and then 10 minutes later, Max Holloway's pulled off the card. Conor McGregor, look, it got buried. It got buried real quick. Thanks, bro, for the shout out. Of course, Belvin. The scene was staged, not. Hold on, I'm trying to catch up. The scene was staged, not violence. That was all Conor and clan. I mean, I really don't think it was staged at all. I think Conor did know that he was going to do something. He showed up a little late, and maybe this could have been avoided if he did show up a little earlier and got there when the media was there like he planned. But for some reason, he waited. And I know the New York City traffic is crazy. I mean, guys, there were so many people at the Barclays Center. It was ridiculous. So, just looking at the street, there's just always constant traffic in New York. I don't know where Conor was staying or anything, but it took him a while to get to. It's not like he landed on the airplane and went right to the Barclays Center. There was some time in between. Belvin Flipmonk saying, prominent MMA people that have called it a terrorist attack list. Ted Check, Mike Swick, Al Iaquinta, to name a few. Man, I'm not surprised Ted's saying that. I'm not surprised Mike Swick saying that. I'm not surprised Al Iaquinta saying that, because it's disgusting that Conor McGregor did that. Is it an act of terrorism? I don't know if you can put it that far. I don't know. You can't put it that far. I think it was more like something just got out of hand, and hopefully this is the last of it. I really hope this is the last of it, because if this continues, then I'm on board with you guys. I'm done. I'm done with Conor McGregor. Still gonna watch this fight. I'll still most likely have to talk about it with people in the chat room, but as a fan, I mean, like I said at the beginning of this talk, I started as a Conor McGregor fan. I loved how witty he was, what he was able to come up with. And a lot of people brought to attention that, once Conor McGregor, and you would think that, like, he would be humbled a little bit after losing to Nate, but no, he got, like, cockier after that, which is crazy. But, leading up to that fight with RDA was when it really, something just clicked in Conor, and he just became an asshole. I mean, just saying mean things, and I would back him up with, like, things he was saying about RDA's children and things like that. Like, I was giggling at it, but it's all a part of the promotion. But now it does seem like Conor does seem like he might be kind of a little bit of a racist. And I don't know what it's like over in Ireland. I really don't. But here in the melting pot, this day and age, you don't see many people talking like that here in my neighborhood that don't get backhanded. You just don't. You don't. You get along with everyone unless somebody does something wrong to you. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they smell, or whatever. It doesn't matter what race they are. You treat everyone with respect. But I don't know. I don't know here. I really don't. All in all, if Conor does this again, there needs to be a real punishment. So we'll see what happens with the court date. Goes down on my birthday, June 14th. So, Jesus, what a day for that's going to be. All right, let's see what you guys are saying here. Money talks. Look at Trump and saying it was Eddie. Thanks for the shout. Or I'm behind. How did he help Artem? He didn't help Artem, and that's another thing. Conor McGregor didn't help Artem at all. I mean, he stood up for him, but he really harmed Artem at the end of the day. And this goes back to his to his last couple of friends fight. Look at Artem's last fight. Like I just said, Mark Goddard had to stop the action, stop the fight, and say, Conor, you need to stop, dude. You're out of control. And that was like, a lot of people were like, oh, it's funny, but there were people being like, no. Conor's showing up drunk. He's acting a fool. You can't just, no one should be allowed to do that. This isn't the McGregor show. You can't do that. So a lot of people are getting fed up with Conor McGregor. And I want to end it somewhere around this note here, guys. Look what happened to John Bones Jones, what he did, and he fought again and again. It's true. Conor McGregor's coming back. There's no doubt that the UFC would let Conor McGregor go. Not with the pay-per-view draws that he has. Every time he's on a pay-per-view, it's one of the top pay-per-views in UFC history. He's not going anywhere, trust me. But I think more people, what's going to help is more people need to stand up for how they feel about this and message Conor. Talk to Conor's fans if you want and say, listen, this isn't cool. Or you can just go about it however you want and just ignore it all. But it's good to talk about this thing. So it's cool to see your guys' opinions here. That's what these podcasts are for. That's what these discussions are for. Try to look at this from every angle. And from the angles that I've looked at this, it just seems like Conor McGregor's just like an asshole. And after hearing what Ireland thinks of him, after this event, I mean, Jesus. I'm not shocked that people are saying that you should look at this like an act of terrorism. So people like Ted Check, Mike Swick, Ale Quinto, all reputable people. So, I'm not going to go that far to say it was a terrorist act, but it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I agree with what Dana said, but then again, it brought a lot of eyes on the sport. But then again, there are fighters who got hurt. And then again, it's the biggest star in our sport. So that's the only factor there. I mean, look at the people in the past like Jason High who gets kicked out of the UFC for, pushing a referee. Look at the big deal that everyone's giving Roy Nelson for kicking Big John McCarthy in the butt. Conor McGregor threw a fucking dolly through a tour bus loaded with fighters. And there's not much of a punishment there. Why? Because he's the biggest star in our sport. If he was Jason High, if that was Roy Nelson, believe me, you wouldn't see this fighter ever again. You wouldn't even hear them want to talk about him ever again. But since it's Conor McGregor, there you go. They have their favorites. They really do. People are treated differently. And it's the sad truth. It really is. All right, last notes here, guys. As we reach, hour and 20-minute mark. Wow. But Ann saying, look what happened to John Bones Jones. That's a good example there. And then John Bones Jones keeps getting busted. Like, it's just nonstop there. Another case of somebody that just keeps getting chance after chance after chance. Is that as extreme as John Bones Jones, like hitting a pregnant woman? It's close. It's getting close there. Conor's getting pretty reckless. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear a news story of Conor probably getting hurt. And I don't wish this. I don't wish this at all. But if you're looking at the way things are going, if you're looking at the scale of the way I got to take my Dayquil as I'm the sore throat. But if you're just looking at the way this is all escalating, it's only getting worse. When is enough finally enough? Is the question. When do Conor McGregor fans say, this is bullshit, dude, I'm not going to buy your fights anymore? Like, you are an asshole. I don't think fans are quite at that point yet. I really don't. Matter of fact, I think more people are now more familiar with Conor McGregor than they previously were. Like I said, my mom's roommate calling me. My mom watching Conor McGregor pay-per-views. My grandmother going, "Did you see the news?" Yeah, I saw the news. My phone's been going off and nonstop, Grandma. But it's cool. It's cool for media, but it's not cool for people who are affected by it. That's the thing. All right, let's check in here. Mike 8 saying, "You're right, Eddie." Ann saying, "Yep, Eddie, agree." Belvin, "Did Jones say, 'Hey, I'm going to hit that pregnant woman'? No intent." Another good excuse. And you know what? Let me share this story, because I've kind of been in that same position where I've boned somebody, and not on purpose. So here in the city, I woke up early. I had to use my mother. This is going back 5-6 years ago now. Way early on in me and Andrea's. This is a really funny story, and I'm gonna end it on this note. This is way back when I first started dating Andrea. Maybe the first year we were dating. I was in the city. I was driving to my friend's house, who just got back from college. I was going to visit him, so didn't know the directions to his house. So I put it in my GPS, and I will never fucking follow a GPS ever again, because they bring you all these wacky routes. You go down all these little side roads. It just got me all lost and discombobulated. So I'm going down one of the side roads by the train station. The light starts turning orange. I'm almost under the light. Like, I'm at the line. And there's a car. So I'm heading this way. And there's a car right here trying to turn down the street to the right of me. So I started going through the light. And they saw the light changing. So they started going through the light at the same time. And ended up hitting me. They ended up T-boning me towards the back of my car. So it was their fault. But lo and behold, the lady was pregnant, man. And I felt awful. And like Belvin said, I couldn't control the situation. I mean, my heart sunk in that moment too. Like, it was crazy. The car hit me, and 6 or 7 people popped out of the car. And all I could think, once I saw the lady that was pregnant, was oh my God, my heart sank. And I can only imagine how John Jones felt. But with that being said, boy, was I careful from there on out. If I ever saw an orange light again, I was going to just slow down and stop. I wasn't going to try to race it. John Jones, on the other hand, has made multiple mistakes since then. And this last mistake, though, I will say this, out of all the times I haven't agreed with things he's gotten busted for, I do believe John Bones Jones is innocent this time around. I don't think that he intended to take that supplement. But do me a favor. Go back. This week's episode of MMA Roasted, my boy Adam Hunter on MMA Roasted had Colby Covington on his podcast this week. And Colby used to be roommates with John Bones Jones. And Colby shares a story about how John Bones Jones is just an asshole once he started doing steroids. He would come home on roid rage, apparently. And if a blanket was out of place, he would have roid rage and throw Colby up against the wall and look at him with these crazy demonic seed of Satan eyes. Go back and listen to MMA Roasted podcast. It was pretty funny, and it was kind of cool to see Colby, but at the same time, you can take Colby Covington's word with a grain of salt. I've interviewed Colby Covington before a couple years ago when he was trying to get the fight originally with RDA. He did a pretty slick thing with making a Gmail account that he hacked into RDA's Gmail account and had all these emails from Uriah Faber, RDA to Uriah Faber saying, "Hey man, where can I get a good spray tan?" To Dana, saying to Dana, all this stuff. It was clever. It was hysterical, and like I said, you can't take what Colby says with 100% certainty. Here's Johnny. Mike H said, let's see. Last thoughts here. Was Conor's rampage an accident, premeditated violence, with intent, all caught on video? Here's the thing. I think he went to the Barclays Center with intent of causing a similar situation like he did at the press conference with Nate Diaz. And allegedly, the story was that they were trying to get there for the media, but they missed the media, and that's how they wound up in the parking garage with the buses. Jesus Christ. I mean, the way that all escalated, it was premeditated. He went there with... If you look at the video, you can see Conor McGregor clearly making decisions as he was making actions. He picked up a smaller object, put it down, and said, "No, I need something heavier." picks up the dolly, at that moment, he doesn't just throw it at the bus. He throws it at the lead window of the bus, the big wide window. Like I said, I'm surprised it cracked and shattered. I don't think Conor thought he was going to injure anybody, but he intended to cause a ruckus. I will say that. And like I said, last time I'm going to say, I don't think it was a terrorist attack. I think it was bullshit. I think enough's enough. Conor needs a slap in the face, not a slap on the wrist. And when he returns June 14th, we'll see what those charges just are. And if you guys look at his Twitter account, you can see that maybe he does feel some type of way now, but I don't know. Last thoughts, guys. Rating this card, going through it, I think I already did rate it. Giving it a 9 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought on Twitter, evil_echo. Smash the fucking windows. Yeah, he certainly smashed the fucking windows. Mike H, damn. Alright, guys, so let's check out of here. Shout out to everybody that bought merch, boosting up the new studio. Shout out to MMA Pick. I'm actually going to go on right now to teespring.com and try to upload this new campaign once again, because no better way to start your day off than with a cup of Joe with my face on it. You don't want... What a better way to start the day, with the hashtag Pure Evil MMA on the back. So I appreciate everyone that bought some of those. Appreciate people that bought stickers, t-shirts, sweaters. And if you guys want a chance to win, all you got to do, if you want to win some free merch, all you got to do is join the Pure Evil MMA Pick'em League. I'm going to be updating this right now, guys. So congratulations to everybody that joined. We had some new joiners today, matter of fact. So good luck to everybody on their way to getting that free t-shirt and wristband. All you got to do is win Fight of the Night. That's it. That's all. Wristband should be here Monday, so everybody that has won in the past couple of weeks, message me right now. Let me know. I'm going to be marking your names right here on the board, and I will be shipping those out immediately. And you get one just for being Ann. Good chat, folks. See y'all in Twitter space. I came in second. And yes, congratulations, you came in second. And yes, I will see you guys on Twitter in just a moment, in just seconds. And this is, I love Twitter. If you are an MMA fan out there and you don't have Twitter, you are missing a big piece of the fun. You're missing, that's like, I don't even know what to compare that to. This is where all the action's going down. This is where you're going to meet a lot of awesome elite MMA fans like Ann, like Belvin, like Mike, like Minion, like Chris, like Ted. Twitter is what's up. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, evil_echo. Shout out to this new tee. I love it. Space Jam. Signing out, guys. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes at Pure Evil MMA. Leave reviews. We're doing a giveaway there, too. All you got to do is leave a review, and you have a chance to win some merch. I'm just giving everything away. Really am. All the Pure Evil MMA merch is your merch. Guys, subscribe here on YouTube. It helps a lot. If you review iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic, have a great night. Hope you guys enjoyed the fights. Behave yourselves. White knuckles. Until the end. I'm working on it.